Let us now begin our class on the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva. Today we will cover bringing defamation onto the path. Even if a person equal to or inferior to myself defames me due to the force of pride, it is the practice of the Bodhisattvas to venerate this one like the master up on the crown of my head. If some person, either equal to me in status, appearance, wealth, qualities, or else inferior to me, has become swayed by pride, and so despises and defames me in various ways. Usually, we would feel really upset if people are inferior to us and then started to despise us. If it were to be someone who's higher than us in status or in various kinds of aspects and then despise us, we can still handle it. However, if it's someone lower, then it's very difficult to take in that despise. But over here, it says that I will refrain from becoming angry. Not only will I do so, but on top of that, I will bow down to him respectfully with my body, speech, and mind, as though he were my kind guru. I will carry him above the crown of my head. Well, sometimes I think it's very difficult to do that. I think it's most of us couldn't really do that at all. We couldn't answer to such kind of person by saying that, oh, sure, and start prostrate to such kind of person. The more we study this text, the more we feel quite ashamed of ourselves. We study so much Dharma, however, our actions and mind stream has not transformed much. The Dharma is really wonderful. Even one particular teaching can bring enlightenment to many. Even one book can bring enlightenment to many. But how much have you studied and how much have you really taken into your heart and into your actions? In fact, not only many of you have not listened to it, you have not taking those teachings into your actions. I believe some people even got worsened in their action and their mind stream. And that is, of course, because of your karmic habitual patterns, and sometimes it is because of lack of merit, and there are various kinds of reasons. Anyhow, over here it says that such is the manner of practice whereby bodhisattvas bring defamation onto the path. From the way of the bodhisattva, even if beings cause me much harm, I shall strive to bring them only goodness. Ponso Rinpoche usually would make such kinds of aspiration. He said that if I were to be stepped on to the crown of my head by the others, in order to delight the Tathagatas, I will not retaliate such kinds of harm. In order to delight the Tathagatas, as Mahayana practitioners, we need to remember that at times being despised, being attacked, those are the kinds of situations and opportunities to practice the actual teaching. If one do not have any kinds of adversities to encounter, to face, then that person must be quite poor because he is lacking practice materials. We need to contemplate it in such a way. And then he said, although many beings may trample and stomp above my head, even at the risk of dying, may I delight the protectors of the world, and likewise, may we not belittle even the most feeble harm doer. Whoever causes harm, high one or low ones, after one has seen them to be like Buddhas, one should pay them respect. Nowadays, whenever we encounter any kinds of harmful situations inflicted upon the others, we should treat that person as a Buddha. We should respect such as a person, let it be with great power or not. It is inappropriate to disregard a harm doer, even though he may be feeble. If you return harm for the harm inflicted upon you, you and the harm doer will become flawed. For the opponent's hatred will further increase, and you will fall away from your virtuous training. If you do not cause harm in return, from then on, you will become faultless, a being who is endowed with patience. It is thus taught in the same scripture, in particular, patience towards those who are weak and cause great harm is among all kinds of patience one of great wonder. In the four Dharma teachings of the Shamanas, according to the Hinayana as well as the Mahayana, whatever the others were to treat you, however the others would treat you, you should not retaliate. That's the kinds of teachings that we study. But nowadays, there are even the monastics that would commit killing people. That is because of the downfall and the darkness of the dark age, of this degenerated age, one of the five degenerations. The view and all the sentient beings, the degeneration of view and sentient beings, which then would bring harm upon others and the self. At times, being harmed by others, if you do not retaliate the others, then you would become the one that is endowed with patience and without any faults. This is the most rare. So if you were to practice patience, you would be able to practice slowly, and slowly you would be able to get better at patience, and you can endure any kinds of harm from any kinds of people. But nowadays, I think there are the weak ones, but shameless ones, that would inflict harm and humiliate their supervisors and disciples, that would humiliate their teachers, and so on and so forth. But if those kinds of great ones could endure this kinds of harm, that would be really wonderful. But this is indeed very rare. In the ornament of the sutra also mentions patience for those who are weak. Generally, one should regard sentient beings as similar to gurus and wish-fulfilling jewels. Nagarjuna explained, all phenomena conducive to enlightenment, their cause is all sentient beings. Therefore, all those who wish for perfect enlightenment regard all sentient beings as the guru. Also, from the compendium of training, the compendium of trainings of Bodhisattva, and the way of a Bodhisattva, which is being taught by Khenpo Tsotrong Lodro right now. Because of his teaching, currently lots of lamas felt that it's very difficult to become a Bodhisattva. But I think it's really wonderful that he's teaching it. So the compendium of training is also composed by the author of The Way of the Bodhisattva, that is Shantideva. Shantideva has these two main texts. One is The Way of the Bodhisattva, the other one, Compendium of Training. They are like a wish-fulfilling jewel, an excellent vase, a wish-fulfilling cow, the guru, and the deity. Thus, I should pay respect to them. When we look at this verse and compare it to ourselves, do we really see our teachers, do we really see other people as wish-fulfilling jewel? Most likely not. Most of the times, people would regard the others as the cow downs. Especially people without a good temper, they would see all faults in different kinds of sentient beings. But if you can practice the Mahayana teaching, you should view every sentient being as deities, as a guru, and as a wish-fulfilling tree. You should really contemplate in such a way. So from the compendium of training, it says that you should see everyone as... So from the Way of the Bodhisattva states that we should respect sentient beings just as we do the Buddhas. Furthermore, Lord Atisha said, since the ego is the root of negative karma, let go and toss it away like the corpse of your dead father. Since others are the source of enlightenment, hold them tightly as if you had discovered a precious, wish-fulfilling jewel. Well, the corpse of the father over here refers to the self-grasping. After the death of the beloved father, which is the self-grasping, you do need to keep the corpse away. You don't want to keep it because after a long time, after a period of time, it will be quite foul in smell. I believe that after my father passed away, his body was in the charnel ground for 3 or 4 days. Anyhow, over here, this is the teaching given by Atisha. He says that the source of Bodhi is the other beings, other sentient beings. Therefore, we need to see them as wish-fulfilling jewels. And then Chenagwa also said, worldly beings hold the Buddha as more dear than sentient beings. But for us, it is the opposite. We must regard all sentient beings as more dear than the Buddha. We need to cherish the sentient beings more so than we cherish the Buddha. At the time when Shakyamuni Buddha, if at the time Shakyamuni Buddha and an ordinary sentient being were to approach you, which one should you respect first? Then we need to respect the sentient beings because they're quite pitiful and still suffering. As I had stated before, if we were to have money, it would be better for you to make those offerings to the poor, sick ones, because the gurus don't really need, the genuine gurus don't need your offering. All of those offerings are to embellish a flower, but I think the poor sentient beings really need all kinds of help. According to Lanri Tampa, said that I shall hold dear all sentient beings and consider them as precious, thinking that they accomplish a purpose even greater than that of a wish-fulfilling jewel. Charava said the following: we must not give up loving kindness toward sentient beings and must respect all sentient beings as no different from the Buddha. So he said that the one that inflicted harm upon me will be able to purify my negative karma that I've inflicted harm when I inflicted harm upon the others. So if I can practice patience, then my negativities can be purified, and then it becomes the cause of accomplishing patience. For that reason, I should not give up on the sentient beings. And he continues, the one who makes trouble is the one who purifies our wrongdoing of having inflicted harm on others in the past. He is the seed for developing patience. Therefore, it is taught that we must acknowledge the exceedingly great kindness of such persons and not forsake them. If with regard to any type of harm doer, we happen to think, I shall return harm with harm and never help, and we allow the span of practice session to elapse without applying an antidote, it is taught that we have forsaken sentient being. It is taught that we have already forsaken our bodhicitta. Then we have to receive the precepts again. Because bodhicitta, the vow of bodhicitta is that we need to benefit the beings, such as the object of jealousy, the object of anger, and all kinds of sentient beings that are inflicting harm upon us. We should not give them up in our mind mind and heart. And your speech and action definitely cannot inflict harm as non-retaliation. Now, since we have already aspired for bodhicitta, other than at the times of guiding others as a skillful means, you can use various ways, such as scolding them and so on. But other than that, if you were to give up the other sentient beings, that would be very sad. Furthermore, from Gyaltse Tongme himself, whether or not I am at fault. When anyone, high, low, or equal to me, harmed me in any way, at that time, may I remember my promise. What's that promise? That promise is that may I not harm the sentient beings. Whenever I'm being humiliated, I need to treat this person as a spiritual teacher. This is my promise. I need to remember it. We encounter all kinds of things every single day. It seems that we don't remember these teachings. Today, I encountered someone on the road. Someone said that, "What do you mean? That what you've done is obnoxious. I really want to retaliate." And that person started to saying things when I was passing by on that road. Whenever Gyaltse Tongme himself were to encounter all kinds of harm, big or small, doesn't matter being guilty or not, being accused of such, we would argue and complain, but Gyaltse Tongme definitely doesn't do that. And then he continues, since the one who causes trouble is your master, place them respectfully on the crown of your head. If one has a benevolent intention toward a harm doer, then the discipline of mind training and most samayas are included within that. He taught this and accordingly also made it his chief practice. Gyaltse Tongme truly takes the teaching of the 37 practices of a Bodhisattva as his main practice throughout his life, and then and his practices throughout his life is condensed into a shloka. So we need to really study from Gyaltse Tongme and each and every of the authors whom were quoted in this text and practice upon those teachings. In this way, you will receive the great blessings from a short text that is the 37 practices of Bodhisattva, because it definitely is endowed with the great blessings. If you can memorize each of the shlokas and then practice it every single time, and practice Om Bandar Sadhu Home whenever you couldn't do it. There are only 37 of this. And then if you can do that, you will be a great practitioner.